Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to get into another clip from the town hall. In this one, we're going to talk about some of the layoffs. It's not focused specifically on that, but we're talking about Weirdbeard. We're talking about how he was offering a lot for the new player. He was inviting conversation. He was aiming at certain game developments that were going to really theoretically help the new player experience. He seemed to get that, and he was one of the people that was recently laid off. So the question now is, from the comment that we're going to see in the town hall, where does that leave our vision, our approach, and the seriousness with which we take and put toward the new player experience? So I want to hear Matt's response, but you'll actually hear Nate respond too. So let's get into it. This is a big one, guys. This is important. There were some layoffs. You guys probably already know. Weirdbeard was one of them. He's a talented man with lots to say and such a presence within our community. He would attend live events. He would hear what people are saying. It's important that there be an avenue and an open door so that the team can hear and understand what we actually want. And I think Weirdbeard offered that. And the question now, really in some sense, that's going to be asked here in a moment, is there still an open door? And if so, is there a name to that person? Is there a path that we can all follow? Is there a way we can really be heard? Is there a way that we can, expedite certain development and maybe say no to the other things? I think we need a person, or we need a path. And I think you're going to hear Matt and Nate speak to that. So let's see.
Question. Weirdbeard seemed to spearhead the new player experience development and organization of feedback from the actual players. Who will take that over, and how much will those two topics be a focus to the company in the imminent future? So that's a super good question. And I want to be clear, like, the people we've had to let go are not because we don't think they're amazing, or that they haven't been doing a good job. They like, we're all doing a great job. They were all extremely helpful to the organization. The organization will certainly be worse off for not having them be a part of it. Unfortunately, like, that was not, like I said, we really got to a point where we have no other option right now. This absolutely had to be done. And like I said, the focus of the people we maintained or retained were the ones who were like absolutely necessary for keeping things running and like getting the stuff out that we've promised to get out. So there were suggestions that like maybe the DAO could hire Weirdbeard. That sounds awesome, right? The DAO is absolutely able to do any of those type of things. Doesn't need any permission from us. And as far as like the new player experience and getting feedback from players, yeah, I mean, some of those things may be delayed or fall by the wayside in the imminent future. In the imminent future, we are working on getting land out and working not just 1.5, but also all the other things that that won't be part of the initial release, and Rebellion. Those are like the imminent future. I'm going to go out and raise money in the imminent future, and then we're going to take a step back and say, okay, well, we need to do a lot more than just get out some features. We need to have a really good new player experience. We need to have really good way of interfacing with our players. We need to have, here's all the things we need to have a really successful company over the next bunch of years. How much is that going to cost? Do we have it? How do we get it? Who are the people that are going to do it? And we're going to like just put together a whole one of the things I plan is to put together a comprehensive plan for all of that stuff, but it is not the like first and foremost highest priority right now for like the end of this year. But it's going to happen.
Can I?
So I'm going to interject right before Nate goes. Nate has a couple minutes to speak, or at least a minute there, and it's worth hearing. So we'll get into it. But I want to speak to some of the things Matt just said. One, we didn't fire Weirdbeard because he was doing a bad job. And I love that he said that, because one, I think we as a community recognize that he was doing an excellent job in hearing us, in engaging with us, everything from being on the town halls to being present in the YouTube presence, like within, I've seen him in the chats for everyone's lives. So that tells me he knows what the community is talking about. It tells me he's interested in hearing what the voices of this, the audience are saying. So I love that Matt really clearly spoke. It's not like it was a lack of performance. It was simply the dollars and cents. And I think people have been raising this question runway for a while. So I think we get that. And I think that makes sense, but it was so important that he said it. It was, to me, that's a point of respect. Good thing. Well done, Matt. Tough times, but still it's important to give the kudos where the kudos are deserved, even if, there's a layoff. So second point that I wanted to touch on there, he says, we have to focus on LAN 1.5, but he said specifically not just LAN 1.5. He said, and all the other parts of LAN that need to come after that. So it's like they're already talking and thinking 2.0. Like they're thinking everything between, 1.5 and 2.0. It's not like land is going to be released in 1.5 and then we're done, or we're going to stagnate, or that's that for, years to come. It sounds clearly from that snippet and from other snippets in other places, it seems clear to me that the vision is really to cast, like we're aiming at 2.0, but there are steps between here and there. Sure. So that's important to hear. And then lastly, he talked about the opportunity, the next steps of raising money. He talked about rebellion. And earlier in this town hall, there's a whole conversation around what rebellion should even look like. I don't want to fully unpack that here, but they talk about $250,000 maybe coming from the DAO being paid to Splinterlands, the company, as like almost a bounty is what I'm going to call it. A bounty out of the funds that we control as Splinterlands players, as DAO, as SP holders that control that DAO funding. We could say, yes, we want to allocate $250,000 worth of resources that come from the DAO and go to Steam Monsters, the company, or Splinterlands, the company, whatever technically the legal entity is. And it's like, this is a bounty. With this funds, we expect you to release Rebellion, the next stage. And then there would be they talked about a 50-50 split. So I don't want to get fully unpack that, but just this has to be top priority. There were layoffs announced that. So obviously funding is a problem. So now it's like, this is the path that we go about, getting back to sort of sustainability. And you heard Matt there say, not just about Rebellion, he talked about raising money. He just broadly, that general topic, raising money. And I think that means they are going to be seriously entertaining conversations with, investors around owning part of the company. I don't know that. They didn't say that in the town hall, at least not until the point where I've watched, which is 1 hour and 12 minutes into 2 hours of conversation. But they've mentioned that before. Matt said they'd be open to that if there was, if they needed to. And I think Matt now feels they need to. I think that's part of the conversation he was just hinting at. So that's what I want to say about what Matt has to say. We're going to hear Nate speak more about the concerns that the team holds and that they will keep walking in that concern over ensuring a quality player experience. Listen to him now.
Say something really quick is that, like take everything that Matt just said, but also consider the fact that we haven't stopped caring. Like there was never a point where we designed and developed and something we said, we just don't care about UX, or we don't care about the new player experience or the veteran experience or any of that stuff. Like it's always going to be a priority for us. It's always something that we are concerned with. And I will say that as we figure things out along the way and figure out how this is going to work, then hands down, I mean, don't be surprised if like maybe we take the UX designer, Roy, and you hear from Roy and myself more and more, so that we can get that feedback sooner in the design and development process and let it bleed into how things are rolled out. Because to me, it's not just about new players, it's about all players. The game has so much blockchain and layers to it and DeFi and this, that, and the other, that even myself, who's been around for 5 years, can I remember all 75 abilities that come on the cards? No, I don't remember all of them. I gotta look them up just like any normal person. So whether you're new or whether you're old, it's good that we continue to polish up the front end so that everyone can have the experience that we want them to have as what was intended. So I will say that in the short term, I think there are some easy things that we could do to make sure that the players are heard. And there's things we've tried in the past, whether it is open up a new, Discord channel and just, make sure that we're always engaging with that channel just as much as Farpatrod does. A lot of you guys talk about things. Farpatrod hears it. He sees it right there in the channel. And then those things bleed into design development. So, whether we have a designated person right there or not, we're all listening. Like I'm looking at Mav's chat and Discord all the time. So is Farpatrod. So a lot of the team members. So whether it's just a channel where we can kind of engage and interact with the community, or whether we go back to that, I think back in the day, we used to have a website platform where you would input, suggestions, and we would triage them every day and see what makes it into the flow or assign tasks or developers. Like we'll figure something out. Like don't worry about it just not happening. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. I think that's all. I'm not gonna lie and say we have answers to all the questions right now, or I don't know exactly how we're gonna do everything. I know what our very clear short-term goals are for like the next 3 months, and part of those short-term goals is to get us into position where we can take a step back and come up with a plan to answer all these questions in a way that hopefully everyone is excited about.
I'm going to stop it there. I just thought it was really important to cover Nate and even Matt's last minute comment there, just really speaking to the fact that we don't truly have all the answers, but you can hear a creative intentionality with the desire to hear and find ways to hear what we have to say. Talk about Discord, talk about Farbertrot in there, checking on Discord, talk about Mavs chat, talk about, is there a website where we drop, suggestions and critiques on what the user experience is like. And then there are going to be barriers to massive overhauls. And I think things like draft mode tournaments are like now, like, we'll get to it when we get to it. I think, I think season pass is another thing that is definitely now on the back burner. But clearly they are hearing those who are vocal, both in the town halls as well as in Discord, and they're open to criticism, critique, and suggestion. And I think that's important for us to hear, especially at a time when people like Weirdbeard were let go. He was definitely an advocate for our community, and hopefully he could still be. There was a comment in there about how the DAO funds could be utilized to hire him back. Maybe that's something we need to talk about. I don't know the answers to how we make this sort of a priority from the team's perspective, but clearly there's certain things that have to happen, and nothing else will happen until land is done, until Rebellion is released. Those two issues are the only things that I hear Matt really focusing on. And there's a broader conversation about raising money. That's part of the Rebellion conversation, but it's a broader conversation unfolding probably around, beyond just Rebellion packs. And then there's land 1.5, and there's a broader conversation about like 1.6 all the way up to 2.0, etc. So those are the two simple sort of bullet points are clearly land and fundraising and Rebellion built in there. And so I think, quote unquote, player experience is absolutely going to be this ongoing process where there will be little things as we raise our voice within those sort of methods and sort of open doors that we have, Discord, YouTube, etc. But we're going to have to recognize that those two big issues are going to be the two primary thrusts for probably the next 3 to 6 months within Splinterlands, unless we see a bull market move in Bitcoin, unless we see SPS price, mooning, unless we see land 1.5 doing crazy things with, flywheel, etc. So I think that we have to leave it there. But I'm glad to see an acknowledgement of what Weirdbeard offered. I'm glad to see a recognition that even though new player experience itself can't be explicitly touched, clearly it's going to be addressed indirectly through things even like a release of What Rebellion. That's a new player experience benefit, right? It's a new pack where there's going to be a new opportunity to receive cards, to play the game. It'll affect the style and the entertainment of the game because the meta changes, the interconnection or the synergies change with which cards you can play and etc. So it's going to affect the player experience broadly, and that will touch the new player experience. So it's going to be months in the works, guys. Unfortunately, we're still in a bear market. Unless we see Bitcoin, above 45,000 and altcoins running, I think we're going to be in this sort of hunker down mode. And I think if we can see, in the meantime, if we can just focus on what land can be, and if we can focus on what Rebellion will be, I think, wow, those are worth being excited about, even in the middle of all this turmoil. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Have an amazing day. God bless.